Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakatau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshina Murti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Krishnakarine Namo Vedanta Vedhyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshine Krishna Dvaipaya Namvyasam Sarvalokahite Ratam Vedabja Bhaskaram Vande Shamadhi Nilayam Munim Sahasramurte Purushottamasya Sahasranetranana Pada Baho Sahasranamnam Stavanam Prashastam Nirujyate Janma Jaradi Shantyai. Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, namaste. So, we were seeing this shloka in the last class. Yuga Degrid Yuga Varto Naikamayo Mahashanaha Adrishyo Vyakta Rupascha Sahasra Jidanandajit. So we saw the meaning of Vyakta Rupa. Previous to that, it was said that Bhagavan, Ishvara, is Adrishya. Adrishya, the meaning here was not invisible, but not subject to objectification. Not realizable or not, I wouldn't say understandable, not attainable through any of our sense organs, not knowable through any of our sense organs. So that could actually give an impression that we cannot know Bhagavan at all. And that is why immediately it was said he is Vyakta Rupaha also, Vyakta Rupascha. He is manifest as Swayam Prakasha Atma. You don't need a light to see the light, isn't it? A light is self-illumining. Similarly, Bhagavan as a Swarupa, in his Swarupa, as Satchidananda Swarupa, is Swayam Prakasha, is self-evident. He is Vyakta as I, the witness of everything. He is the one who even lights up the light. So he needs to be understood and recognized in this way. And as I said, in every piece of knowledge, he is evident as the consciousness that lights up that knowledge. And we can understand Bhagavan by understanding this Jagat, because the whole Jagat is his manifestation only. His form is Vyakta in the form of this whole world. This was the Nama which I lost in the last class. Now we will go further. Sahasrajit. Sahasram means 1,000. But here we should say countless, we can take. Sahasrajit means the conqueror of thousands. Sahasrani Surani Nam Asuranam Yuddhe Jayati Iti Sahasrajit. He conquers thousands. and hence he is Sahasrajit. Whenever there is a battle, I mean, we have seen this in Puranas and all, whenever there was a battle between the Devas and Asuras, those battles go on even today. The battle between Dharma and Adharma is nothing but a battle between Devas and Asuras. So in such battles, Bhagavan helps the Devas to defeat the thousands of Asuras in the battle. And this is the Leela of Bhagavan. It is because of the help of Bhagavan that the Devas are able to defeat the Asuras. So the idea here, as I said, is Dharma wins over Adharma eventually, and finally it is only Dharma that prevails. Why? Because Bhagavan is in the form of Dharma. Even if there are thousands of obstacles, it is Dharma alone that will win. The whole Mahabharata, that is the message. There are so many obstacles, adharmic, driven by adharma, comes in the way of these Pandavas. I mean, what we face in our life is peanuts compared to what the Pandavas faced. And mind you, Pandavas were princes. We are all ordinary folks. They were princes. They had all the power in the world at one point in time with them, but still, and they were all dharmic people also. But still, the adharma's influence was so strong that it appeared at one stage that the dharma was losing. That dharma was yielding to adharma. Adharma in the form of Duryodhana and company had actually cheated the Pandavas out of their kingdom, and they were enjoying 14 years. Equivalent to two general elections in India, they were enjoying. Eventually, what happened? Bhagavan had to come in. Lord Krishna had to come in for what? Dharma samsthapanarthaya, for re-establishing the dharma. So eventually, the message of Mahabharata is eventually, whatever adharma happens around us, we must always remember, we must carry this message. In fact, epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana and all are for that reason only, giving us that positive message. Let anything happen, eventually what is right will always win. Dharma alone wins and adharma is finally destroyed. And that is why, the original name of Mahabharata, was what? It was called Jaya. Mahabharata is a name given later on. Acharya, when he wrote, he called it Jaya. Means Jayam for Dharma. So this is how he is Sahasrajit. He wins over all types of adharmas. He helps people to win over the adharma and establish dharma. So Sahasrajit, again, when one hears this nama, one may get a feeling that, okay, he is Sahasrajit. He is able to, thousands he may be able to win over. But this whole world, adharma could be, endless. What about that? Does it mean that there is a limitation in Bhagavan, that he is only Sahasrajit? So the next nama says, no, he is Anantajit also. The one who is victorious over every being everywhere. Sarvani bhutani yuddha kridadishu sarvatra achintya shaktitaya jayati iti anantajit. Achintya shakti. So Bhagavan is endowed with Ananta Shakti, limitless power and skills, which is Achintya. Achintya means unimaginable. And that we can experience. In the universe, there are limitless varieties of beings, and each has got some speciality, some special capacity by which it excels all other beings. Within the same species also, some excel over the others. Even in human beings, we find that due to certain skills, one defeats another in combat, sports, competitions, etc. Isn't it? And since it is Bhagavan alone who excels, who wins by the manifestation of Ananta Shakti, he is Anantajit, conqueror of, victorious over everything and every being everywhere. And how does he win? Because Dharma, he is the Dharma Swarupa. Anantatmaka Brahma Jayati. Therefore, he is Anantajit. Anantam Brahma is gained with the help of Dharma alone. It is Dharma which paves the way for gaining the knowledge that I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which is what is the Brahma Pada. So the one who is in the form of Dharma and one who is Anantajit is nobody else other than Parameshwara alone. So he is Sahasrajit and Anantajit. Both these namas go together. So eventually all obstacles go away and finally only Dharma wins. That was the last nama, isn't it? Yes, Sahasrajit Anantajit. So we'll go to the next sloka now. Ishto Vishtashishtashtah Shikhandi Nahusho Vrishah Krodaha Krodakrit Karta Vishwabahur Mahidharah. So this sloka has got how many namas? Ishta, Avishishta, Shishteshta, Shikhandi, Nahusha, Vrisha, Krodaha, Krodakrit, Karta, Vishwabahu, Mahidaraha. 11, isn't it? Yes, I think so. Yeah. So we will see one by one. Ishta. Ishta, very simple, the most desirable. Adi Shankara says, Paramananda Atmakatvena Priyaha Ishtaha. Yagyena Pujita Iti Va Ishtaha. Two meanings he says. Yes, because the word Ishtaha has got two significant meanings. And both Adi Shankara takes here. So, being the nature of Paramananda, the Lord is Ishta, the most desired, because that is what everybody desires. Everybody desires only Paramananda, and who is Paramananda? The Lord is Paramananda, so he is the most desired. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a dialogue between Yajnavalkya and his wife. Actually, Yajnavalkya had two wives, Katyayini and Maitreyi. And at one stage, Yajnavalkya wanted to take sannyasa. And all his property he wanted to divide between the two wives, Ms. Katyayini and Maitreyi. The Maitreyi is very, very intellectually, super woman. She was no less, as compared to Yajnavalkya in her intellectual prowess, in her understanding of Atma Jnana. So when he suggests to them or tells them that I am going to take sannyasa and I am going to divide all my wealth between you two, she asks, Maitreyi asks him, with all the wealth that you are giving us, will we get amritatva, the moksha that you are seeking? So Yajnavalkya says, no, you will not get amritatva with wealth. Then there ensues a big discussion, wherein Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi that Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Anything that is ishta, anything that you desire, anything that attracts you is because it evokes a pleased self in you, and what you love the most is the pleased self. You do not like the displeased self, isn't it? First of all of us, the maximum love that we have got is for one's own self. And when anything that pleases that self becomes an object of our love, anything that displeases that self becomes an object of, not an object of our love. Even one commits suicide because one is displeased with oneself. Therefore, it is actually the pleased self, that is Ishta, that one loves, and hence anything that evokes this pleased self become Ishta, an object of love. This is what Yajnavalkya reveals in terms of what exactly is love. How does we have? Why do we love certain things, and why don't we don't love certain things? Now, question is, what is that pleased self? That pleased self is an attribute that comes now and then and goes away. Now, is ananda an attribute added to the self which wanes in time and thus has to be added again? Or is it intrinsic to the self? This is the question. Whether this ananda we are talking about, which comes and goes, because sometimes we are pleased, sometimes we are not pleased. So it appears that this ananda is an attribute, it's a guna, or it's a characteristic which comes and goes. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it goes away. Or is it that it is intrinsic to myself and it is not extrinsic? It is not that it is added now and then. That the very nature of myself is ananda. These are the two questions. Now this needs to be answered. We need to understand that. The scriptures say the self by nature is ananda, and ananda is the nature, or being pleased or happy is the nature of oneself. And that is why when one feels at home whenever is happy, and one feels not at home when one is unhappy. Because when there is an occasion to be happy, we identify ourselves with our Swarupa. That's why we feel happy. It is that Atma Swarupa which is coming out in the form of happiness. That Ananda which is intrinsic comes out as experiential Ananda. That is why Atma is the only source of attraction, because that is the only source of Ananda which gets evoked in some form or the other. And it is Parameshwara alone who is in the form of this Paramananda Swarupa Atma. And Atma is Purna. How do we say Atma is actually Ananda Swarupa? If we analyze the nature of happiness, even the temporary happiness that we get now and then, if we analyze it very carefully, any happiness is preceded by a feeling of incompleteness. That feeling of incompleteness is what leads to a desire. In whatever manner or in respect of whatever object we feel incomplete, that object becomes an object of desire for us, because we feel that by obtaining that object, by possessing that object, by getting that object, we will become complete. To give you an example, suppose I want to buy a house. I am living in a rented house and I feel incomplete because everybody else has got a own house. I don't have a own house. So I am feeling incomplete. So I feel that with respect to that house, or with respect to the owning a house, if I buy a house, I will feel complete. So I go ahead and I make all necessary preparation. I buy a house. I feel very happy. Why do I feel happy? Because with respect to that particular incompleteness, now I feel complete. I feel Purna. There may be 100 other things regarding which I may be incomplete. But with respect to the house, I now feel I am complete. So I have a happy feeling. So if we correlate happiness with the feeling of completeness, we will understand that this Atma, this happiness is coming out of Atma, because Atma is always Purna. It is Purna inside, it is Purna outside also. Antah Purna, Bahis Purna, Purna Kumbha Ivarnave, says the Shruti. It is like a pot immersed in water. The water, the pot is full inside and outside also, isn't it? Water is everywhere. Therefore, Bhagavan being everything is Purna inside and outside. That Purnatva alone is what one loves. And because you obtain that Purnatvam by fulfilling your desires, you become happy. So instead of correlating happiness with the objects, with desire, or fulfilling desires, etc., if we understand this connection, that happiness is a result of a feeling of completeness, of feeling of Purnatvam. So that is what actually is a desire. That is what is Ishta or Priya. And that is why Bhagavan is the one who is Ishta Priya, because Bhagavan is in the form of Purnatvam. So this is one meaning of the word Ishta. So it is in the meaning of the word desire. I decide from this verbal root is the Ish Dhatu. But this word Ishta can be derived from another dhatu, another verbal root called Yaj, to worship. So it is the Lord Vishnu alone who is Ishta, who is worshipped through various yajnas. And of course, other forms of worship, including Vishnu Sahasranamam Parayanam. So that is why also he is Ishta. So this is the meaning of the word Ishtaha. Then the next nama is Avishtaha, Avishishtaha, Avishishtaha. Vishishtaha means distinct. Avishishtaha means the one who has no distinct attributes. Sarvesham antaryamittvena avishishtaha. So when Atma is pointed out as the limitless ananda, one can have a doubt. Oh, so and so is a Mahatma, is a Jnani. Maybe his Atma is limitless. Maybe his Atma is Ananda Swarupa, but my Atma is not so. So this presupposes a doubt that there are so many Atmas. His Atma is different, my Atma is different. If this is so, then each Atma will be a Visishta, having distinct qualities of its own, isn't it? But if we understand what the Upanishads are trying to convey by saying that this Atma is all pervasive, we will recognize that there is no question of a second Atma being there. There is no question of a second Atma being available for it to be different from the other. All that is there is one limitless self and one Ananda Swarupa alone. So in and through every living being and every non-living being, that Ishvara is the indweller as Antaryami. And because it is the same, there is no difference in attribute in any part of that. It cannot be, because it is one. This is the essence of Advaita Siddhanta. We must understand that. It's a very important thing to understand. Because Lord Krishna, even in Bhagavad Gita, keeps on talking about Sarvatma Bhava, Sarvatma Bhava. Treating everything as the same. Viewing everything, every being as the same in this entire universe. And that is the basis for Sanatana Dharma also. And that is the reason why we, in our culture, we revere everything. There is a reverential attitude towards everything. I don't see anything different than from me. As I have a high degree of self-respect for me, I have a high degree of respect for everything else. This is Sarvatma Bhava. But experientially, what we see, everything has got different attributes. So if everything has got different attributes, how can we ever get that vision of Sarvatma Bhava will be the question. That vision can be got only by Advaita Siddhanta, understanding the Advaita Siddhanta. No other philosophy can give you this vision, which is the vision of the Vedas. Advaita Siddhanta is not something somebody, Adi Shankara or Vyasacharya created. They have only pointed out that this exactly is the real vision what Vedas want to convey. All others who have understood, studied the Vedas have not understood what the message of the Vedas completely. Their understanding is incomplete. That is why they have come up with different philosophies. So all that is there is one limitless self, one limitless Atma, and that Atma is Ananda Swarupa. And also that Atma does not have any attributes. As I said, anything qualified by the attributes is called a Visishta. And as Parameshwara, as Antaryami, the indweller of all, he is Avishishta, not limited by any attribute. So he is the Atma of all. So Atma was told to be Ishta, and here Atma is also said to be Avishishta, not peculiar to any oneself. Atma is the most desired by the individual because it gives him happiness. What is most loved by one is oneself alone, because Atma is not other than oneself. It is not separate from oneself. So Atma is Ishta for everybody. And it is also Avishishta, not peculiar to oneself. It is something that is universal. And there is only one Atma. There is no second Atma available. So all these meanings we can derive from this Avishishta. Then the next Nama is Shishteshta. Shishtanam Vidusham Ishta Shishteshta. The one who is desired by Vivekis. Shishtana. Shishta Ishta Asyeti Va. Priyo hi Jnaninotyartam Aham Saha Cha Mama Priyaha. This is Gita. Priyo hi Jnaninotyartam Aham Sacha Mama Priyaha. Iti Bhagavat Vachanat. Shishtaihi Ishtaha Pujita iti va Shishteshta. If bringing the Ishtaha Pujita meaning here also from Yajdat. So, continuing the discussion, if the Atma is Ananda Swarupa and if it is Avishishta, then everyone should desire that Atma, isn't it? We say it's the most loved thing. Everybody should desire that Atma. But we do not find everyone seeking that Atma or trying to understand even what Atma is. Everyone we see is busy seeking something else all the time. Very rarely, 1 in a million or even 1 in a trillion or a billion, whatever number you want to give, do we find someone who is seeking this Atma, who is seeking his own Atma Swarupa, wants to understand. But the Shastra says, the fact is, knowingly or unknowingly, everyone is seeking the Atma alone in and through all the other seekings that they do. They don't know this, but that is what they are doing. Everyone is doing that. They are seeking the Atma alone. They are seeking Atma Swarupa alone. They are seeking Ananda alone. They are seeking that happiness alone in and through all their seekings. The person who understands this becomes a jnani, a viveki. That's why Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita, Mama Vatmanu Vartante Manushya Partha Sarvashah. He's saying that to reach me alone, people follow different paths, different ways. Or in other words, people follow my path alone in all different ways. This message he repeats both in the 3rd chapter and 4th chapter. Puja Swamiji says every human being is like a bloodhound which somehow finds his way home. Similarly, everyone wants to go home. And Bhagavan is the home because he is Purna. And everyone wants that Purnatvam alone. Then why don't they go to him? Bhagavan says that even though they are engaged in various pursuits, still all of them are in my track alone, in my path alone. Because of their limited thinking capacity, because of their ignorance, they think that perhaps this is the right pursuit and with this one will be all right. Sometimes they temporarily find that Purnatvam in that pursuit. Then eventually they come to realize, they find that it does not give them the Purnatva that they were looking for. Therefore, they go from one thing to another, from one country to another, one job to another, and this goes on constantly, including from one spouse to another also they going, looking for that Purnatva. And eventually, in one of their lives, in one of their janmas, they come to Bhagavan alone. Those people who are thus engaged in various pursuits, they lack the viveka. They lack the discriminative understanding. If they understand that all my pursuits is for reaching that ultimate goal of Purnatvam, then they will actually look for a way to achieve that Purnatvam without going through all these travails of the samsara. Those of you who know the story of Lord Ganesha and Muruga, you know that story of that, it was mango, isn't it? This Narada created a problem. He brought one mango and gave it to Shiva and Parvati, said, give it to the best of your child or something like that. I don't remember the story fully, but I know the crux of the story. So then there was a proposal. Whoever goes around the world 3 times will get this mango. So Muruga took off on his peacock, his vahana, and he went around the world 3 times. And when he comes back, he sees that Ganesha already has got the mango in his hand. It has been given to him. So he becomes upset. He says, why did you do that? So Shiva says that Ganesha had the viveka to understand that the entire world for him is his parents only. Shiva and Parvati, Parameshwara and Parvati. So he went around us 3 times and then we found that he has got the viveka. So he got Purnatvam, we gave the mango to him. And that is why they say Muruga got annoyed and he went to Palani and all that. This is a different story. What I'm saying is, a viveki, a person with discrimination will understand that in and through all my seekings, what I am seeking is that ultimate Purnatva, which is nothing but the Swarupa of Ishvara. So instead of doing all these things, let me straight away, why don't I actually seek Ishvara? For that, what I should do, then he will seek a guru and learn everything, what all he should do to seek, to actually, first of all, gain that discrimination, that viveka. And that is why satsang, or satsang means the association with, wise people. People who have got predominantly sattvika guna. association with that becomes very important. And that is why only through Guru we can get all these things. So when the Viveka is there, automatically the seeking is in the right direction. The seeking for Bhagavan will be there. And if Viveka is not there, then all that other seeking will go on, and this seeking will not be there. Seeking the Bhagavan will not be there. And that's why Adi Shankara says, Shishtanam Ishta iti Shishteshta. Thus, those who have followed the path of Dharma, being exposed to satsang, and thereby developed Viveka, are Shishtas, Shishta Purushas. And because of their Viveka, they come to know that Bhagavan alone is the source of Purnatva, and therefore he becomes Ishta, the most desirable to them. Thus, Bhagavan is Shishteshta. On the other hand, those who have no Viveka, not knowing Bhagavan as the source of Purnatva, think of all other things as their Ishta. And of course, Adi Shankara takes another meaning. He is Shishteshta also because Shishtaihi Ishtaha, worshipped by the Shishtas. Shishtaha Ishtaha Asya iti Shishteshtaha. These Shishtas, these people who are Vivekinaha, who have got the Viveka, having come to know that it is the knowledge of Bhagavan alone, and nothing short of it will give them Purnatva, they start pursuing the spiritual path to gain the knowledge of Bhagavan. Therefore, they become initially Jignasus. Jignasus are bhaktas, devotees, desirous of knowing Bhagavan. And later they become jnanis, devotees who have come to know themselves to be essentially one with Bhagavan. They go on searching for Bhagavan, they want to understand Bhagavan. Eventually their understanding is, there is no other Bhagavan than my own self. They understand the true meaning of Tattvamasi. They understand the meaning of Prajnanam Brahma. So, as these Shishtas alone know the true nature of Bhagavan, they are Ishta to him, and thus he is Shishteshta. And that's why Adi Shankara quotes that Gita verse, Priyo hi jnaninaha iti ityartam aham sacha mama priyaha. The jnanis love me. I am totally beloved to the jnanis, and a jnani is absolutely dear to me. Why? We should go back. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So here Bhagavan is conveying that there is no difference between me and jnani. So jnani is priyam to me, and I am priyam to jnani. Because both of us are one and the same, and we love ourselves. That is Atmanastu Kamaya. That is why Jnanis, have only love for everything in this world. Because in and through everything, Jnanis see only Bhagavan. They only see their pleased self. Nothing in this world displeases a Jnani, because he knows that the Swarupa of every being, every object, every living thing in this world is Ishvara only. So this is the depth to which we must understand all these namas. The next one is Shikhandi. Shikhandi means the one decorated with peacock feathers. शिखंड है, कलाप है, अलंकार है, अस्य इति शिखंडी गोपवेशधर है. So So this is a nama with his reference, has a reference to Krishna Avatara. Shikhanda basically means a plume, The one who has got a Shikhanda is called a Shikhandi. Well, even a peacock is called a Shikhandi because it has got a plume. So here Bhagavan is called Shikhandi because as a covered boy, So the Lord has his hair tied up in a tuft and it is decorated with peacock feathers. We have seen that Bhagavan Krishna, any photo of Krishna will have a peacock feather on the tuft. So that is why he is Shikhandi. So more for a nama for visualization and meditation. The next is Nahushaha. Nahushaha, the one who binds. Yato nakhyati bhutani mayaya. Atah Nahushaha. This Sanskrit word nah, it has got a meaning of bandhana or bondage. It's a verbal root. Nah. Nah bandhane, bondage. So the Lord binds all beings by his power of Maya. So he is called Nahusha. If you do not seek Bhagavan, then you are bound. And if you seek him, you are released. Isn't it? If you seek anything other than Bhagavan, you are bound. And if you seek Bhagavan alone, you are released. That is the difference between samsara and moksha. Bhagavan is in the form of Atma and he is not available for everybody to know. One must choose to know him. There is no other way. Bhagavan is available like a facilitation counter in a railway station. If you want anything, to know anything about any train timings or anything, you have to approach the facilitation counter. It will not come to you. And since Bhagavan is the Atma, which you are in reality, you cannot also accidentally come across yourself, isn't it? And even if Bhagavan comes in the form of Krishna, Rama, or any of the avatara, and if we focus on that avatara only, he would be the one who comes and goes. So again, he is not available. In Kali Yuga, we cannot see Krishna. Krishna is gone in Dwapara Yuga. Therefore, what is this darshana of the Lord? Darshana of the Lord is only by knowing him as Atma, that is I. He can be known only through the Jnana Chakshu, the eye of the knowledge. If he is already there, indwelling as the Atma, and yet we do not know him, it is because our vision is veiled, covered as it were by the power of Maya. And Maya also his power only. And since this veil of ignorance alone is the bondage, there is no other physical bondage. So what is moksha? Moksha is not getting away from this body, mind, sense complex. And that is why in Advaita Siddhanta, we don't believe that moksha can be got only after death, which is what all other philosophies believe. All other darshanas believe. We believe that moksha can be got by being in this body alone. In fact, moksha can be got only by living in the body. By throwing away the wheel of Maya, by going beyond Maya, the illusion created by Maya, and understanding that this physical bondage is only an appearance, that my real liberation lies in seeking and knowing that Swarupa of Ishvara. That is why in Advaita Siddhanta alone, we talk of Jivan Mukti. Nobody else talks of Jivan Mukti, and we don't talk because that is Jivan Muktitvam is the message of the Upanishads also. Jnanis, those who have understood, they keep teaching this thing to all of us. And if we choose to know Bhagavan, Bhagavan will show the way for us. Even in this world, which is actually predominantly Maya Kalpita, we can wade through this world and still reach that Bhagavan, that Swarupa, understand that Swarupa of Bhagavan. That is how one gets liberated. So this is again a very nice nama, Nahushaha. Then next nama is Vrishaha. Vrishaha is Varsha, the one who rains blessings. Kamanam Varshanat Vrishaha Dharmaha. We have already seen this Vrishaha. Vrisha means that which rains, which pours. And earlier Adi Shankara had taken Vrishaha meaning as Dharma. So Dharma is Vrisha because the path of Dharma alone makes one attain one's desires through its phala of punya. We must understand this connection. When we have a desire and when we attain that desire, it is the grace of Bhagavan showered on us because of the punya karmas of our past, that we are able to attain the object of desire. Because there is always, as they say, there is always a slip between the cup and the lip. You may desire so many things, you may work for that relentlessly. Still, it may elude you. There may be obstacles coming in your way. So everything requires a Devam. People who don't understand the reality of this universe will call it luck. Luck is nothing but that adrishta power which we can gain, we can earn through punya karmas, through dharma. And it is Bhagavan alone who is in the form of the order. What is dharma? Dharma is nothing but the order of cosmic order or order of Bhagavan. And he alone gives the phala according to the dharma. Punya phala is an anugraha, is a blessing. And even if we think about it, papa phala is a blessing because it helps us to put us back on the path of dharma if we understand it. Many times the papa phala will give us certain unpleasant experiences. But if we look behind those unpleasant experiences, and then if we actually look at what we have gone through those unpleasant experiences, we will find that there is always some lesson that we have learned for us to follow in future. So even by giving us unpleasant experiences because of our own papa phala, Bhagavan is still pushing us into the dharma marga. He is teaching us, don't do this in future. You did it in past because of the ignorance. And that is why I firmly believe in the title of a lesson which I learned in school, Ishwaraha yat karoti shobhanameva karoti. This is a Maha Mantra which if we follow, that we will have no complaints against anything, anybody in this life. Therefore, Bhagavan is what? He is a Mangala Murti, a body of blessing. Puja Swamiji gives an example, just as any part of a sugar crystal is sweet, so too any aspect of Bhagavan is a blessing. So we invoke him as Vrisha in the form of blessing to gain his anugraha, to gain his grace. So he is Vrisha. Then Krodaha. Krodam hanti iti krodaha, the destroyer of anger. Generally, when someone is angry, people say, control your anger. But the question is, how to control one's anger? The very fact that anger is there because it cannot be controlled. Suppose you are holding something, you can drop it. But when that something is holding you, how can you drop it? Isn't it? And when whenever someone is angry, we must understand it is the anger that is holding him. Therefore, one needs to understand that I have no control over anger. I cannot control anger because it is spontaneous. It just takes over me without any notice. You don't think, you don't plan to become angry, isn't it? Anger comes spontaneously. Once we understand this, and once we understand that anger is not something that I should have, I should allow myself to be taken hold of by, then one can seek help. One can seek help from whom? From someone who has no anger. And if we actually analyze anger, as Puja Swamiji does very beautifully, he analyzes all these emotional, issues very nicely. Rather, he says anger is just a symptom, an expression of inner pain, probably a childhood pain. One has no control over that because it is a part of the unconscious. And because it is part of the unconscious, one is not conscious of it. What we are conscious of, we can control. The unconscious is the other side of the ego. It is yourself, and hence you are not aware of it. And this unconscious is very, very significant in our life. It plays a very significant part in our life. And because it is kept away from consciousness, we don't recognize it, yet it controls you. So, as he says, through the anger, the presence of an inner pain, which is the cause, is appreciated. And pain, like everything else, is a part of the psychological order of Ishvara. Unconscious is also part of the psychological order. In fact, all other emotions like jealousy, hatred, sadness, loneliness, low self-esteem, all these are all born of unconscious only. It's an order because it is common to all. And like every other order is a manifestation of Ishvara, the psychological order is a manifestation of Ishvara. And being a manifestation of Ishvara, we must understand that my anger is not special. Therefore, if I have to gain control over my anger, instead of allowing the anger to gain control over me, I need to help I need to seek the help of Ishvara. Why? Because he is Krodaha, the remover of anger. So, hey Ishvara, you are Krodaha, the remover of anger. Please remove my anger. My anger. Please note, here we are not saying, I don't want to be angry. We are only seeking his help to manage our anger. As long as that unconscious pain is there, anger will be there. All that we can do, unless we actually deal with that pain, all that we can do is to manage, gain enough strength to manage the anger, so that even when I am angry or in a emotion of anger, I will not victimize anybody. That is what we must be aiming at. That is what we can aim at. That's all we can do about anger. So when you are angry, you do not act. That is, you do not express your anger in action. That is what we can aim at, and that is called Dhamma. So therefore, when anger comes, it needs an expression, but we have to see to it that it actually it is getting expressed in an appropriate manner. Because anger has to be let out. If we suppress it, it will actually become a bottled up anger, and it may even result in a lot of physical problems, like even heart attack and stroke and all that. So many people suggest, as I probably discussed, I don't know whether in this class or in Bhagavad Gita class, give expression to your anger in writing. Write down everything, what you are angry about, against whom you are angry about, but afterwards be sure to destroy that paper. Or talk it out to somebody who knows what is right and wrong and can lend a sympathetic ear. Like that only we have to manage this anger. And for all this, one requires the help of Bhagavan. So the more one appreciates Ishvara, the more one will be able to control anger. One is not to blame oneself for the anger. That much, there should not be guilty feeling. Oh, I am getting angry often and all that. That should not be the case. We should recognize that there is a problem I am having, and I should seek help. So in prayer, one seeks the help of Ishvara so that one does not act inappropriately when one is angry. Because Ishvara alone can help us to destroy the anger. Thus, as the one who destroys the anger, the krodha, and of those who seek his help, he is krodha for them. Okay, I think it's just taken 2-3 minutes more. I'll stop here and say the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mama.
Guruji.
Thank
Namaskaram,
you.
Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you. Dhanyawad, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
धन्यवादः महोदय. हरिः
Dhanyawad.
ओम्.
Hari Om. Thank you. Yes.
Guruji,
Yeah.
Guruji, when we discuss Ishta,
Hmm.
then Ishta Devam. Oh, then what is Ishta Devam?
See, the word Ishta in simple meaning means that which is desirable. That is what you can say. Yeah, that which is desirable, you can say. So, Ishta Devam is a form of Bhagavan which somebody chooses for the purpose of Upasana. Because there are in the Shastras, typically, people who are dharmic people who follow religious rites and all, they talk of three types of devams: Kula Devam, Ishta Devam, and Upasana Devam. Kuladeva, Ishtadeva, Kuladevata, Ishtadevata, and Upasana Devata. Now, for some people, Ishtadevata will be Upasana Devata also. If you ask me, my Kuladevam is Ayyappan. My Ishtadevata is Guruvayurappan. Right from childhood, I don't know, I have been praying Guruvayurappan only rather. Maximum times, any temple I have visited, it has so happened is Guruvayurappan temple only rather.
Correct.
That is some Ishtadeva. I mean, it's something which has been there probably because of Purva Janma, this thing. But my Upasana Devata is Dakshinamurti. So for me, I've got three Devatas. Some people, Ishta Devata will be the Upasana Devata also rather. For some people, there will be Kula Devata, who will be Ishta Devata, who will be Upasana Devata also. Rather.
All the three.
It's all a question of, sadhanas rather. I mean, how can you, being a samsari, being still in the what I can call grip of Maya, within that framework, how you can still pursue a dharmic way of life, how you can be, religious, and then through religion become a bhakta, and then a bhakta only can become a mumukshu. A bhakta only can get a moksha rather, right? So that is what is Ishta. There Ishta Devata means desirable, like that, the person who likes a particular Devata very much, Ishta Devata. That's why in all our rites and all, the priest will say, before we start, pray to your Ishta Devata, pray to your Kula Devata, sayings and all that they say. That is what Ishta Devata. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Yes, Hariji, what's your question?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Sir, in one of the Upanishads, Kaivalya Upanishad, they have again defined God. They have tried to indicate, not exactly define, they have shown the pointers. Some of the pointers are like Avyaktam, Achintyam, and Anantarup. In one verse. So when it is Avyaktam and Achintyam, means it doesn't have any rupa. Since it is not conceivable, unconceivable, or Avyaktam. At the same time, he's also telling Anantarupa, which means infinite forms. There must be some meaning. Can you highlight what in the same words?
See, what happens in Upanishads is, they are trying to convey to us or make us understand what this Brahman is.
They're trying to describe indescribable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't describe the Rupam, but they describe the Swarupam.
Yeah.
You must understand the difference between these two.
Okay.
Rupam is a form.
Yeah.
Swarupam is a nature.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So when they say Avyaktam, Achintyam, Anantam, they are not describing the Rupam, but they are describing the Swarupam of Ishvara, Swarupam of Brahman.
Yeah.
How do we understand what is Brahman? First of all, they say it is Avyaktam.
Yeah.
You have to, only way you can understand Brahman is that you cannot see that Brahman.
Yeah.
It is so subtle that it is not available for you to perceive in your perception through any of your sense organs.
Yeah.
The first thing.
Yeah.
So you have to only imagine or you cognitively recognize that there is some entity which is there, which I cannot see. I cannot
Yeah.
perceive it through any of my sense organs. I can't
Okay.
touch, see, hear, or anything, right?
Yeah.
This is cognitive understanding number one.
Yeah.
Achintyam. Achintyam means what? You cannot even conceive that.
Conceive. Yeah.
Because you are talked about avyaktam sense organs. Question will be, what about mind? Can I actually see mind? I can do contemplation, close my eyes, everything,
Yeah.
go into samadhi,
Yeah.
and then can I see Bhagavan? Say Achintyam, even no thought can reach him.
Yeah, it is a finite equipment, so we can't through finite
Yeah, your
equipment
mind is a finite equipment.
you can't conceive the
You
infinite.
can't conceive what it is.
Infinite through finite.
It is infinite. That is what is Anantam is.
Yeah,
Your mind can conceive only what is finite.
finite.
What is infinite, what is limitless, you cannot conceive. So they see what happens is that is the struggle of the Upanishads. That is the struggle of the rishis trying to make us understand what we cannot understand, what we can't perceive. The human limitation is we only understand what we can experience, what we can see, what we can perceive. So that is why for understanding Ishvara, for understanding the Swarupa of Ishvara, the only pramana is means of knowledge, is the Shastra, is the Vedas. There is no other pramana available to us. As actually, I think, I don't know, probably beginning of Vishnu Sahasranamam only, I discussed about the 6 pramanas which are there. Pratyaksha, Anumana, and all that. In that, Shabda Pramana is the last one. Shabda Pramana alone is available to us, and Shabda Pramana is in the form of Vedas. So for us, we must never ever try to experience or see Bhagavan. It is a foolish pursuit. But we must understand that Bhagavan cannot be seen. And if you want to experience Bhagavan, you are experiencing yourself every second. That is the experience of Bhagavan. You can experience Bhagavan through everything. Because the essence of everything is Atma, is that Bhagavan. This is the only cognitive way we can understand. And this is what Upanishad after Upanishad they try to convey to us. That is how we have to understand. Forget Kaivalya Upanishad. Any Upanishad you take, they will talk about this only. Different words they may use, different sentences they may use, different examples they may use. But essence of everything is, don't try closing your eyes. Yesterday in the sleep, Bhagavan came and then he said, do this, do that and all. All very fine. All because like any other dream, this was also one of the dreams created by your own imagination in your mind that you saw in the dream. That much is what is the truth of that. So that is where objectivity comes in. Anyhow, I hope I have answered your question. Thank you. Hari Om. Any more question, please? Doubts, questions, observation, comments, nothing is there.
Akka has something.
Guruji,
Yeah.
okay. I thought somebody said something.
I only told.
Yeah.
Oh,
Akka
okay.
has-
Hari.
Yeah.
What I was thinking of was the Krodha part of it. Krodha Hanti. Now, in Krodham, Ishvara is there. So, what in us is the appropriate anger that you mentioned?
Come again, please. What is the
Appropriate anger that you talked about. What is
appropriate anger? No. I said no, I didn't say appropriate anger. I said anger has to be dealt with appropriately.
Oh, appropriately. Okay.
So how do you deal with that anger when you know that you are? First of all, one needs to understand one is angry. See, the beauty is when somebody points out to you that you are angry, your reaction, no, I am not angry. This is what normal reaction is. We don't even, first of all, recognize that we have got anger. We are angry, right? So first of all, we have to recognize that there is an anger which is there. Right now, I am experiencing that anger. But what that anger is capable of doing, it is capable of destroying somebody's peace of mind, destroying somebody's happiness, destroying, victimizing somebody with that anger. That is the capability, or it's like a atom bomb kind of a thing. So we have to deal, when we realize that as a spiritual seekers, when we realize we are angry, we need to deal with that. We cannot suppress it. I cannot say, no, I am not going to be angry. I will swallow my anger. All this, if we do, it will keep building up. So we have to do what? We have to let out that anger somehow. It is just like that example I can give is, you have actually gone out of your house. You have, I'm talking about typically Indian houses, with got the gas cylinder and all that. Don't compare it with your house where you're living. Suppose you have a gas cylinder in a kitchen, and by chance you have not closed that gas cylinder. You have locked the kitchen door and gone away. Right? The moment you come back, open the kitchen door, you smell gas. What will you do? Will you strike a match? You won't. You will open all doors and windows for all the gas to go out, isn't it? Similarly, the moment we get that anger, we must smell it. Oh, I am getting this anger emotions coming in my mind. I must let it out, open all the windows and let it out. Otherwise, if I take it out on anybody else or anything else, either I may break some furniture or I may break somebody's head. That is appropriately dealing with it. I think I gave you that example of my own experience once. When I was the secretary of our alumni association, there was an incident where, I had to go on leave, and then there was a problem. Some program was to be held and no arrangement was done. I became angry and I sent a resignation letter to the chairman. And this is what he said.
Yes.
It was a very angry letter. I wrote so many things. But of course, I didn't take it out on other people. That much viveka I had. But I still wrote. Then he said that read this letter tomorrow, and if you still feel what you have written is worth considering, I will accept your letter. I went back home, slept over it, read that letter, tore it off. I said, it's nonsense. What immature way, boyish way I am behaving. I am an adult. I am responsible. This is so many programs we have been holding. Okay, there must have been a reason why the other person to whom I gave that responsibility, he didn't complete it the way I wanted. I must try to understand that rather than being angry with him and all that. So the thing is, there are many ways, and everybody has to find his own way to deal with anger. There is no universal formula. There are certain simple things like, putting it down in writing and then destroying that paper. All that simple things are there. But there are other ways also. Other acharyas say, when you are angry, go and lock yourself in the puja room or before the altar. Keep on praying to God. Hey, God, please let this anger pass by. Let this anger pass by. Meditate on Bhagavan. So that after some time, the anger automatically will go away. Just like the gas goes out of the windows and doors, anger also will go away. It's a momentary reaction. And what we do, if we feed that, it will become bigger and bigger and bigger. Never ever allow to never feed the anger. So these are all, the sadhanas or the things that a viveki, in our spiritual path, we must be aware of. Similarly, jealousy. Because so many things, unknowingly, we may become jealous of somebody. This I have myself experienced. If somebody has got something which I don't have, there is immediately a feeling, you see, I didn't have it, I didn't get it, he got it. That feeling is coming out of what? It's this jealousy only. So we have to deal with that. Because all these things are all our enemies. They are the ripus. We have to deal with all these inner enemies, and that is what the whole spiritual sadhana is about. Understanding Atma is only the last portion of it. Only when you get rid of all these things, then the understanding of Atma automatically will come in. When you remove all impurities from water through whatever process, RO process, this process, that process, what remains will be only pure water, isn't it? Similarly, when we go through, we deal with all these things, what will remain is only a pure Atma, and which will be the Swarupa, which we can ourselves recognize without any problem. Then all these things. Sorry.
Guruji, it's an emotion. It's something that you don't have. It's not like it just explodes. Okay. Sometimes you don't even have a trace that it's coming. And of course, it's helped by people who like to press your buttons, whether it is just to irritate or just to it's entertainment for them. Sometimes it's their nature. So you don't put yourself in situations where that is going to be triggered. That's one way of avoiding it.
Yes.
But once it has come to the surface, no amount of drinking cold water is going to subside it. So it's after the anger has come that you run to the room and close your door or whatever the solution is. So how do you, that surge of emotion before it comes, how is it suppressed? I mean, we should not suppress it, but
it's not suppress it. You see,
transcend it.
It's a matter which Swamiji also deals with it. Normally, psychologists, they deal with it, but in a very superficial manner. Because eventually, you have to deal with your unconscious. All these emotions, from where they are coming, what is their source? Their source is the unconscious. Because something gets triggered in the unconscious is, we cannot be conscious of unconscious. Why? Because it is unconscious. But it is within us. It is what we call our samskara. It is there within us. So what we have to do is, and that's a very long process. Every time we recognize something which is there in the unconscious, which is not correct for us to have, we must bring it out and deal with it. So that is a very, very long process. It's all, actually speaking, what? If you recall Tattva Bodha, if you recall the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, if we develop enough viveka, vairagya and all that, through those methodologies, we can deal with all the unconscious which is there. A serious pursuit of developing sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, including titiksha, because one of the ways of managing all this unconscious is titiksha. What is titiksha? Endurance, tolerance. If somebody is the trigger giving you anger, if you have enough titiksha, you can deal with that anger. So many methods. So that is why for people in spiritual path, sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is the most important practice one needs to continuously do. It is not like it's a sort of a pre-qualification for coming into Vedanta. You come into Vedanta, study Upanishads, simultaneously keep on doing that. That is very, very important. Without that sadhana, and sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, all the sadhanas which are prescribed there are the solution for dealing with unconscious. That is where we find in the Shastras giving us how to deal with unconscious.
In which book of Pujya Swamiji that you were talking about, that he deals with psychological?
Where he has said, maybe in Vishnu Sahasranamam itself, because I have not read the full Vishnu Sahasranamam Swamiji, but I have heard him talk about this unconscious, dealing with unconscious and all that.
Yes.
Whenever, in the Gurukulam, when he used to come and talk to us and all that, I have heard, and I remember Swamiji, how he used to teach us that this is a very important aspect, where you can never become a yogi or a jnani. You can never understand your Atma Swarupa unless you deal with this unconscious, and because unconscious is sitting on the other side of the ego. Ego has got two sides. One is the manifest side, one is the unmanifest side. There are two sides of the ego. And this unconscious is sitting on the unmanifest side of the ego. You have to get it, and it keeps on manifesting now and then, depending upon what is the trigger is, right? So Swamiji used to say that one needs to, in life, deal with that unconscious also, rather, if you have to progress in the spiritual path. You cannot become a jnani and then become a Swamiji and all that and still carry on angry and things like that. In fact, that is how, I mean, it's not as being judgmental, but I've seen many Swamis, on the spur of the moment, they will become very angry. So, what Swami you are? Just because you have become sannyasa and all that does not mean that you have become a Swami, right? Who is the real Swami? Every sannyasi is not a Swami, even though he may call himself a Swami. So what is sannyasa? Sannyasa is this only. Total renunciation, including the renunciation of all your unconscious, is sannyasa. That is what Shankaracharya says sannyasa is of the whole. So when we say sarva karma sannyasi and all that, the unconscious also spurs certain karmas in us. It is not a conscious karma. It is not a karma which we do out of our free will. But as I said, these are all very deep topics and may not be, the right forum for us to discuss it, because, everybody will not be able to relate to these kind of things, in the same manner. But they are all very, very important. With all the sadhanas, with all shravanam, mananam and all that, one needs to be constantly working on these things also. Gaining more and more management, control over everything that happens, rather than allowing anything else to manage yourself. That is what it is about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was a very beautiful explanation, which removed doubt about the Kula Devam, the Ishta Devam, and Upasana Devam. There was always that conflict, because there are people who speak to you about, what if that God gets angry if I worship this one, or who is my Ishta? Some of them have questions about. So that was a very good question, and it was answered to my satisfaction. Guruji.
Honestly
Thank you.
speaking, it works. For me, it has worked. Whenever I have got a problem, the immediate my reaction is, Guru Ayyappan, please give me a solution. That is my approach, and that is why it's a Ishta Devata. I don't even pray to my Kula Devam, rather. First comes Guru Ayyappan, then only Ayyappan comes for me, rather. Right? So it is there. I mean, it should be there in your samskara. Everybody will have. Only thing is, for some people, it may be buried deep inside. It will take time to come up, rather. But from childhood onwards, I have had this, this very affinity to Guru Ayyappan. So it is there. I mean, when we talk of Kula Devam, Ishta Devam and all that. Now, after I come to Vedanta, I have taken Upasana Devata as Dakshinamurti. So every day I do Archana, Dakshinamurti Archana and all that. That is a part of my religious part of my Vedanta pursuit, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And it has helped also. Because when I was in Kuwait, when I didn't know anything about Vedanta, I didn't know anything about, this, what is that called, Upanishads, etc. I learned Narayaniyam. And in Narayaniyam, there is this, Gajendra Moksha chapter is there. So I thought, okay, that is Gajendra Moksha is there. So I want Moksha. And at that time, my thinking about Moksha means, going to Swarga, Varga and all that kind of a thinking. You wouldn't believe, I started daily reciting Gajendra Moksha with the idea that I need Moksha. Without understanding that I have become a mumukshu I thought I was a mumukshu in a different sense. And every day I will recite Gajendra Moksha. It takes hardly 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. So along with my prayer, Gajendra Moksha, I used to recite. And you see the effect of that Gajendra Moksha. Narayaniyam, Guru Ayyappan, everything that comes together. And I was eventually led to a guru who could give me the real meaning of what moksha is. And because of the grace of that guru, I am able to share that knowledge with at least, all you people. See how the whole life develops beautifully. So this is where all this Ishta Devata, Kula Devata, everything, that comes into place.
There is also Grama Devata.
Lot
Hmm?
of
Grama Devata. For the
Grama
Devata,
Devata.
yes, lot of devatas are there because our religion is about devatas only rather, isn't it? Grama Devata protects the Grama, right? Kula Devata protects the Kula. So
That is-
many things are there,
that could be the reason why even in the Upanishad, in many places they say God and gods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what is Devata? See, people don't understand. Devata is God. What is God? People think God is one power. The supreme God is one power, but he
Yeah.
consists of so many other powers
yeah.
that people don't
Yeah.
understand. They say idol worship and all. We just give a number 33 crore gods. But we
It is
also say
like,
there is only one God who is the superior, supreme God who controls these 33 crore gods. All that, the aspects which other religions, they don't consider all these things. They are all abridged religions, very, very shortly they tell. Their religion approach is don't ask questions. I will tell you what it is. You just believe it, period. Our religion only allows us to ask questions, challenge people, and even gurus, if they say something, we can challenge the guru. No other religion will allow a devotee to challenge the teacher. They just listen to what you are told and follow it, period. That's all. And they call themselves democracies. Anyhow, so any other question or either comment or there?
The comment was there is a young man. He has suddenly discovered Lord Shiva, and the parents do the Vishnu Sahasranamam. So yesterday the mother called and said, look, he's coming to Shiva. I'm very happy. At least he's believing something. But he told me not to read the Vishnu Sahasranamam because Shiva is bigger than Vishnu. So we had to. So I had the same confusion, Guruji, because when my mantra diksha, etc., it came very early in my life. And it went from Shiva to Shiva Shakti worship. And finally, Sri Vidya came. And I found I was struggling because my Ishta is Krishna. And here was an imposition. Then I made sense by thinking, oh, that is just the ritual that I have to do. So that has been given. And it has come through God only. And I continued with that. But it creates a little bit of an irritation in your mind all the time. What am I doing? And today's question about Upasana. So the Shiva Shakti, the Shiva Shakti aspect of it became Ardhanarishwara worship. As Shiva and Shakti together through the Sri Vidya technique. And I can still, worship Krishna because he's my Ishta. So it has become a complete circle now. So that I don't, that mind doesn't come and interrupt and say, what are you doing? But another thing is silence. The less you hear people, the less confusions you have. Because it's their confusion. They're afraid if they worship Ayyappa, somebody is going to get mad. Oh, now Krishna is above. What am I going to do now? You don't have to do anything. But that is their own individual growth.
See, that's why, it's not everybody comes to Vedanta. Not everybody who will understand what the message is being here. Because people are already stuck in their own thinking and all that. And Bhagavan says, leave them alone. In Bhagavad Gita, he says, don't try to disturb their beliefs, their feelings. Because even if you try to push things through, it will not go in rather. Leave them to what they are believing alone. That's why I keep on saying spiritual journey is a personal journey. It is not a journey. No guru gives a guarantee that I will take you along and I'll make you a jnani like me. No guru will tell that. Guru will show you the way. He will say, this is what I did. This is what the Shastras say. Journey has to be done by every individual. So there is no point in saying somebody, my Shiva is bigger than your Krishna, or your Krishna is bigger than somebody else and all that. There are such people who do all these things rather. That's okay. Let them do, keep on doing it.
It's their
As long
growth.
as we don't understand it, we keep ourselves protected from such biases. That's all.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing. There was a complaint that when people do not recite the mantras, which are quite powerful, they get very irritated. And what is the solution? So the answer was given that when you look at a fruit, they gave two types of drishtis. One is phala drishti, and the other was rasa drishti. So that was also very, very nice, because when you look at a fruit, you see all the adornments and things like that. So you're paying attention to outside, whereas once that first drop of juice falls on your tongue, you're in that rasa. So go for the rasa thing. So that was yesterday's learning, Guruji.
That's
It
very
was very nice, very good teaching, I thought. You have to distract yourself from who is doing what and how wrong they are and so on and so all the judgments.
See, we must not become judgmental also, rather. That is another very important thing. We must not say or think that they are wrong. Everybody is right in their own thinking, in their own way. We have no right to judge other people. Right? All that we can do or we should do is keep on reviewing ourselves. Our thoughts which come into our mind, that we can keep on reviewing, being aware of every thought which comes, and then we can say this is a right thought, this is a thought which I should not. Because as I said, these thoughts come into our mind, one of the major role is played by the unconscious. And when the unconscious is playing, that will actually throw up so many thoughts, which in a conscious state, we are trying to, for example, there is somebody who is in a spiritual path. He wants to keep his chittam, in a pure thing. He is trying to achieve a chitta shuddhi. He is doing all these things, but I can tell you, he will keep getting certain thoughts in his mind, now and then, which will be revolting against all that he is trying to achieve. He can't do anything about it. The thought will come because it is there in the unconscious. He has become a spiritual journey person now. What has been happening to him right from his childhood, and which has all gone into the unconscious and then formed all the samskaras there. He can't just wish it away, isn't it? So that will come. Only thing is, as long as he becomes aware of every thought that comes, then he can actually say, okay, this is a thought which has come to me, right? Now this is trying to drive me. I'm not going to allow to do that. I'm going to replace it with something else. I'm going to replace that thought with a thought of Bhagavan, Ishvara. Recognizing that even that thought is a thought of is the Ishvara only, I am going to deal with that. So even when wrong thoughts come, you recognize Ishvara even in that, then that's one way of dealing with those kind of thoughts. It is not being judgmental. Oh, I'm pursuing this, but still feeling guilty. You see, these thoughts are coming to me. I feel very guilty. I'm not in the right path. All these kind of things one should totally avoid. So this is when you go into the minutest details of this entire spiritual journey, there are so many aspects to it. All these aspects one needs to deal with. Jnani doesn't become a jnani just like that. Jnani becomes a jnani because he has dealt with all these things. He might not tell us all these things, how he has dealt with it. Is not for sake of advertisement or publicity. He will tell that you should do such a thing. That's all. He will not say how he has dealt with it. Everybody will deal with it in his own way. But the best way, which all this say, everything is Bhagavan only. So see Bhagavan in everything. So if a wrong thought comes to you, you say, hey Bhagavan, please deal with this. This is your Swarupa only, right? it is disturbing my spiritual pursuit. So please, you take care of it. I am not going to do anything about it. Remove it from my unconscious, so that next time I don't get this thought. So these
Thank
are
you
all-
for that tip. That was a very valuable tip that you just gave through awareness to bring the Pratipaksha Bhavana.
Yeah,
The awareness is not there, so you cannot go to that other
we can't
thought.
do. But awareness can come, because it's only a question of, when you are seriously seeking awareness, it's a question of a difference of one movement of the emotion coming, and you are becoming aware of that.
Aware.
One movement only difference is there. So that movement you have to manage. Whenever such emotions are coming, whenever I call it that himsaka emotions, whether they cause those emotions cause himsa to others or to our own self, that is all himsaka emotions rather.
Mostly to our own self.
Nor eventually it is our own self.
It
But
is,
in the
it is,
interim it can hurt others also.
We think that we have,
Yeah, exactly.
but actually we cause more harm to
Harm to
ourselves.
our own self. It is actually, that's why, an angry person, like we saw in Bhagavad Gita, that anger, like Arjuna, that anger flowed down to his physical body, trembling, and, mukam shushyati, all that, the mouth dries up and all physical symptoms, that sadness, anger, all these things get convert into rather. So,
Physical illness.
as you say, it actually hurts us maximum. That's what happens.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, Hariji, you're
We
right.
must try. We
Thank you.
probably
That was a nice, thank you for that.
we must, if it is possible, couple of such sessions,
Yeah.
more.
It's so-
What I find is,
Uh,
not everybody who is there in the class is interested in all these things. That is why it's preferable to discuss this in satsanga. That those who are not interested, they can leave. Those who are interested will stay for the satsanga, and they will all these are not discussions as part of the normal teaching, right? These are discussions where people have got certain doubts and other people are interested. They will certainly stay back for satsanga.
yeah, but probably the others may not be knowing that we are having this type
Well,
of.
I mean, that is a
No,
different
he
thing. They
announced
should-
it. He announced it, Hariji.
I don't think that's because these are available in recordings. If they go through the recordings, they will get the knowledge of this, whatever we are
Okay.
discussing.
Oh, this is recorded
The
too?
recording is still going on, right?
Mm.
So it is available. If somebody is very keen, they will certainly seek it. But I don't want to make it sort of a boring thing that, some people may not relate to these things at all, because let us not assume that everybody who is there in the class is the same level in terms of their understanding and pursuit. So from a point of view of Swamiji's teaching, Puja Swamiji's teaching also, he deals with it in a very general manner so that everybody understands. And then satsangs are meant for special questions and special answers.
Thank you kindly.
Yes,
That was a gift.
Thank you very
Hariom.
much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Hariji, for your participation.
Thank you, Akka.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Akka.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hariom.
Thank you.
She is my Akka.
Yes. Thank you.